All right, let's jump straight into this. Today, we're decoding the microscopic backup generators that literally keep your cells alive: fermentation and anaerobic respiration. If you've ever felt that deep burn in your muscles during a heavy workout, or even just wondered how a loaf of bread rises, well, you've actually witnessed these incredible survival mechanisms firsthand.
So to kick things off, we really need to understand exactly what's at stake here when the oxygen suddenly runs dry. Cellular respiration, as we usually think of it, relies super heavily on a steady supply of oxygen to squeeze maximum energy out of glucose. But, nature is unpredictable. Oxygen isn't always perfectly available. So what exactly happens when a cell suddenly suffocates? How does it keep the lights on?
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the oxygen problem, explore the fermentation solution, see lactic acid in action, break down alcoholic fermentation basics, check out the ATP energy gap, and finally, look at evolution and the entire biosphere.
Okay, Section 1, the oxygen problem. Before we can really appreciate the cell's backup plan, we have to look at the normal everyday route. Every single glucose molecule starts its journey by undergoing glycolysis, breaking down into two molecules of pyruvate. Now, glycolysis itself doesn't actually need oxygen, but right after this step, the cell performs what's essentially a crucial oxygen check. If oxygen is present, great, we move smoothly into the Krebs cycle. But if oxygen is missing, the cell is forced to completely change its survival strategy to an anaerobic pathway.
And here's the crazy domino effect that happens when that oxygen check fails. Without oxygen, the electron transport chain shuts down entirely. Boom. ATP production drops off an absolute cliff. But the most immediate, life-threatening danger to the cell is actually an inventory problem. You see, the molecule NADH has literally nowhere to unload its electrons. Because of this, the cell's supply of NAD+ becomes completely depleted. And without NAD+, even basic glycolysis faces a total halt. Energy production would just hit absolute zero.
Which brings us to Section 2, the fermentation solution.
By definition, fermentation is an anaerobic process that happens right there in the cytoplasm. It's a workaround that allows cells to continue generating energy temporarily by keeping glycolysis operating. And I want to emphasize temporarily here. It's absolutely vital to understand that fermentation doesn't replace cellular respiration. It's really just a rapid response, short-term survival mechanism to buy the cells some precious time.
So here's the crucial takeaway. Fermentation is a recycling plant for NAD+. It is not an energy creator. A lot of people mistakenly think fermentation creates a whole bunch of ATP. Actually, scratch that, it doesn't create any new ATP itself. Its primary job is simply to take that overloaded NADH, strip the electrons away, and recycle it back into empty NAD+. Because as long as NAD+ is regenerated, glycolysis can just keep chugging along, churning out a tiny but entirely life-saving trickle of ATP.
Moving on to Section 3, lactic acid in action. Let's connect this microscopic process to something you've definitely felt: that intense burning sensation during a hard workout. Think about a moment of all-out physical exertion, like heavy weightlifting or a dead sprint. When you push your body to its absolute limits, your muscle cells suddenly find themselves in a major crisis. They need ATP energy way faster than your bloodstream can physically deliver oxygen to them. You are, quite literally, momentarily suffocating those specific muscle cells.
So how does the body pull off this biochemical save? Step 1. Your cells take the pyruvate generated by glycolysis and convert it straight into lactic acid. Step 2 is where the magic trick happens. This conversion forces NADH to drop its electrons, immediately turning it back into NAD+. And then, Step 3. Thanks to that fresh recycled NAD+, glycolysis can keep producing its small amount of ATP. Yes, your muscles fill up with lactic acid, hence the burn, but you get the short-term energy you desperately need to finish that sprint until you can finally catch your breath.
Now for Section 4, alcoholic fermentation basics. The cool thing is, humans have actively hijacked this specific cellular survival mechanism for thousands of years. Alcoholic fermentation is honestly the unseen engine behind so much of human civilization. When we bake bread, the carbon dioxide released during fermentation is exactly what causes the dough to beautifully rise. We use it for brewing beer, making wine, and more recently, we're even scaling it up massively for modern biofuel production.
When we compare these two pathways side by side, it's pretty fascinating. You've got lactic acid fermentation happening in animals and bacteria, and alcoholic fermentation happening in yeast. They share the exact same underlying biological goal, right? Regenerating that NAD+, so glycolysis survives. Yet, they yield completely different end products. It's a brilliant evolutionary divergence.
Section 5. The ATP energy gap.
When we actually run the numbers, it becomes wildly obvious why the electron transport chain, which, remember, requires oxygen, is so vital to complex life. The gap in energy yield is staggering. Glycolysis alone, or even supported by fermentation, only nets 2 ATP per glucose molecule. But aerobic respiration, it nets anywhere between 36 and 38 ATP.
I really want to emphasize this. In the absolute absence of oxygen, fermentation limits your cells to netting a measly 2 molecules of ATP. Think of it like a biological emergency generator. It provides just enough power to keep the emergency exit signs flickering, but there is absolutely no way it can run the whole factory.
But bring oxygen back into the mix as the final electron acceptor? Suddenly, a single glucose molecule can generate up to an astonishing 38 ATP. This is maximum energy extraction. It's like going from a trickle to a fire hose of energy.
Finally, Section 6. Evolution and the biosphere.
Let's zoom way out from the microscopic level for a second to look at our planet's energetic history. 4 billion years ago, early Earth had basically zero free oxygen. So around 3.5 billion years ago, ancient cells had to evolve and survive purely on anaerobic pathways. Glycolysis and fermentation were literally the only games in town. It wasn't until about 2.4 billion years ago that photosynthetic organisms started slowly saturating the atmosphere with oxygen, which finally paved the way for highly efficient aerobic respiration. And the real-world consequence of that shift? It was monumental. Aerobic respiration doesn't just mean more ATP, it means biological possibility. This massive biological upgrade in energy efficiency is exactly what drove evolution forward. Having 38 ATP instead of just 2 allowed for multicellularity, specialized tissues, and ultimately complex, highly active life forms like us to even exist. Zooming out to the entire ecosystem level, we can see the beautifully elegant balance of the biosphere. Photosynthesis stores energy by taking carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight to create glucose and oxygen. Then, cellular respiration takes that glucose and oxygen, releases the energy as ATP, and pumps carbon dioxide and water right back out. It's a perfect loop. The products of one process literally become the reactants of the other, endlessly cycling matter across the planet.
To sum up this explainer, I want you to always anchor your understanding to this big picture takeaway. Whether a cell is flush with oxygen and running the full aerobic pathway, or it's suffocating and relying on that quick fermentation rescue operation, the end goal is always the same: converting the chemical energy stored in our food into ATP, the universal biological currency.
I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. If ancient cells hadn't figured out how to recycle NAD+ in the absence of oxygen all those billions of years ago, not only would a heavy sprint cause our muscles to completely fail, but we wouldn't have fresh-baked bread, biofuels, or countless other staples of modern civilization. It's just wild how microscopic emergency protocols deeply shape the physical world we experience every single day. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.